I'm at the point in the game now where I actually need to consider which monster fusion am I going to do. And so let's just go through them and see what looks good and what doesn't. What most people go with is the Dark Ifrit, you have the Water Phoenix, you have the Fire Panda Warrior, and you have the Wind Valkyrie. Now the Wind Valkyrie is really nice in the sense that it can be used in very niche places. It's very good for certain spots, certain bosses inside of the lab. So let's just go through the skills. The first skill is called Sword of Promise. It attacks the enemy with a sword and increases the enemy's cooldown by 1 turn with a 20% chance. Soul Reaper is automatically activated if the enemy dies. So if you use skill 1, it's going to reduce the cooldown on the other side by 1, at least with a 20% chance. And if you kill somebody, it's going to immediately proc into skill number 2 called Soul Reaper. Soul Reaper attacks the enemy to inflict damage, becomes invincible for 1 turn, and resets the cooldown of the Sword of Discharge if the enemy is killed. And so essentially what you're doing with the second skill is you are attacking, putting up an invincibility buff. If you kill somebody with that, then you immediately get another turn where you can use the Sword of Discharge. Sword of Discharge attacks the enemy to inflict damage and randomly attacks the enemy 2 more times. The enemy's defense is ignored when this is an invincibility state. So perfectly, a monster that's perfect to complement this one is Chloe. Chloe puts up the invincibility shield and boom, when Valkyrie comes in, does this thing and kills everybody. It's really kind of a niche monster. I like it a lot, don't get me wrong. I fused it on my main account just like I fused everything else, but it's not where I'm going to go with my first fusion on this beginner account. I'm only in day 3, and so we really got to be smart about who I pick. Another one that's pretty good is the Fire Panda. Now Fire Panda is really good in R5, and I want to get into the grind as soon as I can, but I think I'm going to hold off. But let me go through the skills so you can see exactly why this thing is really good. The first skill is called Sequential Attack. It attacks the enemy 3 times with each strike having a 30% chance to decrease the target's defense for 2 turns. So it's going to attack 3 times and it has a 30% chance to defense break whoever it hits. The next one is Calm Mind. Removes all the harmful effects granted on all allies. Recovers their HP by 15% for 2 turns. In addition, you'll counterattack whenever you attack for 2 turns. So what you can do is, if you use skill 2, you're going to cleanse, you're going to recover some HP, you're going to put up this counterattack buff, and when you counterattack, you're going to use skill 1, and skill 1 is Sequential Attack, which is going to attack 3 times with a 30% chance to defense break. Pretty awesome combo. You definitely want to keep the Rift Boss armor broken at all times, and so that's why he's such a good monster to have for the front line. The last skill is called Panda Supremacy. It attacks 4 times. Each attack will grant a whole bunch of things: HP recovery, disturb, glancing hit rate increase, attack power decrease, and attack speed decrease for 2 turns with a 70% chance respectively. So for a 70% chance, you're going to get all these additional buffs, including the speed down, the glancing, and the HP recovery disturb. And a heal block is really key, especially for that Rift Boss. So you can see that this Fire Panda is just built for raid. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And the leader skill is defense, all monsters, 33%. So you can use him for the entire set of teams, all 3 teams in Rift. This is the perfect monster for grind farming. But I'm on day 3, and day 3 I don't need grinds, I need to clear content, and I need runes. So that leaves 2 other choices. That leaves the Dark Ifrit and it leaves the Water Phoenix. Let's go over the Dark Ifrit first. This was the one that everybody used when the game first came out, well, at least when this fusion came out, because it has some interesting skills that not other phantoms have. So let's go through the skills. The first one's called Mega Smash. It attacks with magical powers and inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns with a 50% chance. The damage increases according to attack speed. So You want to build this thing tanky, but you also want to build him fast because he's going to do more damage if he's fast. And he's going to inflict dots, and dots are key. So you have a 50% chance to inflict 2 dots, or 1 dot, and it does continuous damage for 2 turns. That's pretty awesome. I mean, you really want to get dots up as fast as you can, and you want to be able to do that. 50% chance is not bad for a skill number 1. Second skill, Super Crush, attacks AoE, all enemies to inflict damage proportional to the enemy's max HP and stuns them with a 30% chance. So the tankier they are, they're going to do 30% of that max HP, and there's a chance to stun. The target immune to stun will have an attack bar decrease by 50% each with a 100% chance. And all that means is if you attack somebody who's immune to stun, they're going to have their attack bar reduced by at least 50% every time. It's a 100% chance to reduce it by 50%. Now, the passive, called Conversion of Magic, is why everybody used this for starter Giants teams back in the day. It removes a harmful effect, except inability effects, on all allies each turn, and the allies will recover 5% of each harmful effect removed. So it's going to cleanse your team of 1 debuff per ally. And every time it does that, you're going to increase 5%. And it does that every turn. In addition, your attack bar increases by 10% for each harmful effect remaining on the ally after each turn. So it's going to remove them and give you HP. What it doesn't remove, it's going to give you attack bar increase by 10%. Overall, a phenomenal monster. This is exactly what you want when you're starting a new, Giants 10 team, 11 team, 12 team. I don't know if anybody farms 11, but either 10 or 12. This is, a very, very good monster to use. And the leader skill is HP for all allies. And so, if I'm ranking them in order of priority, the last one's going to be the Wind Valkyrie. Then it's going to be Panda. Then it's going to be Dark Ifrit. But I think the one that I'm going to do is Sigmaris. I think Sigmaris lasts longer in the game. I think Sigmaris has more utility towards mid-game. There's a lot more places that it can be used. So let's go through these skill sets. The first one is called Arcane Blast. It attacks an enemy with a mysterious energy and stuns them for 1 turn with an 18% chance. It's 18%. I mean, I don't really care about that. It's stunning. It does pretty good damage, though. The second skill, Frozen Orb, attacks with an extreme chill to inflict damage that is proportional to the enemy's max HP and freezes the enemy for 1 turn. So it's going to freeze the enemy. It's going to do damage proportionate to the enemy's max HP. So it's going to do big damage against people with a lot of HP. And it's going to freeze them. That's a really good second skill. The third skill is Ice Volcano. It attacks all enemies with an exploding ice volcano, inflicting damage based on their max HP and decreasing their attack power for 2 turns and freezing them for 1 turn. So it's going to do big damage based on their HP. It's going to decrease their attack power for 2 turns, and it's going to freeze them for 1 turn. And the leader skill increases the HP of all allies in the dungeons by 44%. So I think that Sigmaris has more utility for me in the early games. I think it lasts longer into the mid game than Veramos does, than the Dark Ifrit. I think Sigmaris is exactly who beginner accounts should fuse. Now, there are going to be arguments back and forth. Should you do Ifrit? Should you do Sigmaris? And you're going to occasionally hear, no, do Panda first. But it's the top 2 is going to be Veramos or Sigmaris. I'm going to go with Sigmaris. I'm going to recommend that if you're starting a new account that you use Sigmaris. And so let's go ahead and get into that. Essentially what I'm going to do now is I'm going to collect all these. I went through, I got up all my points that I needed. I'm going to go into here and Sigmaris. We're going to collect her. And you just go in and you pick who you want. Okay? So I'm going to get my extra mana. I'm going to go here. I'm going to get my JoJo. I'm going to get my mana there too. I'm going to get my Susuno. And there we go. So that is going to be... Now, you have to have the water martial cat, which is fine. But that's the fusion that I'm going to go with. And that's who I'm going to recommend that you go. So, to answer the question, which fusion do you select first? For me, the clear-cut answer is Sigmaris. Let me know if you agree in the comments. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. Remember, this is a 3-day old account, and I'm really concentrating on early game, early game, and I think Sigmaris gives you the best chance to progress as fast as possible. Alright, if you liked the video, give me a like. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Until next time, peace out.